skin, so gorgeous. We thank the life gorgeous. Thank the life gorgeous. I love the life gorgeous. Its torso is so tight.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Life Gorgeous. My name is Mr. Craig Kilborn. This is where I share my magical life in hopes of improving your life. You know, years ago on the CBS Late Late Show, I discovered Dido, the great singer. I discovered Petra Nemcova, who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Now I've discovered a young man who you're going to be hearing a lot about. He's about 38 years old. He is part owner of the Los Angeles Lakers, and he's in the front office. His name is Joey Buss. Let's bring him in. Hey, Joey.
Hey, Craig. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and we met briefly at a Laker game before we were rudely interrupted by Ken Jeong. I apologize. But I didn't know, and I apologize, I didn't really know a lot about you at the time, and I was very impressed with your demeanor and your professionalism, even in the VIP room. And I look forward to understanding what exactly you do with the Lakers. What is your title and what do you do for the Lakers?
Great question. Thank you. I remember that game. We had a mutual friend there, Josh Goldstein, kind of introduce us. And we're in the chairman's lounge there. And I don't know if you've seen it since we've been, but it's bigger. Completely different now.
It's bigger.
At crypto. Yeah.
Yes.
To answer your question, what do I do with the Lakers? What's my title? My title is Vice President of Research and Development.
Okay.
And so I have another title, which is Alternate Governor. So I wear multiple different hats, and I'll try to break it down one by one for you. The Alternate Governor title, you know, I work with Jeannie Buss, my sister, on ownership issues. And so we attend Board of Governor meetings once a month, sometimes more than that, sometimes less than that. And we'll go through revenue sharing, CBA, top level business, basketball issues, cap systems, et cetera, in the boardroom with Adam Silver and the rest of the owners of the NBA.
Nothing tedious there. Nothing tedious there. Very exciting.
No. Very exciting stuff. Exactly. I mean, during the pandemic, we had to discover Zoom, and so it's hilarious to have that many people on a Zoom call together,
right?
For sure. The research and development piece of my title relates back to the G League, which is a development league for basketball players. And so the way that we've organized our team is that our G League team is owned and operated by the NBA team. This was the first NBA team to have done it this way back in 2006. And we decided that this is just going to function as a development piece for the NBA team, trying to get in new talent, develop young talent so that we can call up and have a competitive advantage in the NBA. And so that's my primary responsibility. That's where that title comes from.
So I want to just make sure people know my history with the Lakers, because some people remember that I was not a fan of the Shaq Kobe Lakers. I liked the Sacramento Kings, but going way back to the 70s, and a lot of the young people weren't even born then, I was a Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West fan. And I'm an NBA fan first because the Timberwolves didn't come into existence until 1989. So for 20 years, I was an NBA fan, and I was a Dr. J fan. So in the 80s, when the Lakers played the Celtics, I didn't really care who won. I enjoyed it. I liked Larry Bird. I loved Magic Johnson. I do like to say that the 80s Lakers, the Showtime Lakers, I think might be the greatest team of all time, better than the Jordan Bulls. That's my opinion. And then I do like the current team. I love LeBron and I love AD. So I want to ask you, I want to clear something up. This is the trade by Rob Pelinka. I know there's a lot of influence. I think Phil Jackson is a consultant. Kurt Rambis is a great basketball mind. My sources tell me the real people pulling the strings are my guy Lon Rosen and Jay Moore.
Oh, boy. Yes. They are wonderful people. Jay, obviously, comedian,
Right.
who I've met a few times, and is a wonderful person, always been
Right.
wonderful for me. And
Right.
then Lon Rosen, he's with the Dodgers right now and works with obviously Magic.
Right.
And so also another a great guy. Both very helpful, obviously pulling the strings, like you said.
Right. Well, I do want to know because the trade was pretty amazing. You guys get rid of Russell Westbrook. You bring in these other players. 3 of them were Timberwolves, but you also get Rui Hachimura. Is that his name? Hachimura? And how does that work with Rob Pelinka? How many people are influencing and weighing in on what should happen?
Well, we have a great staff here at the Lakers in the front office and the basketball operations, and we went into this season really with the key milestones of, hey, let's have some patience and perseverance and get through this season and try and make the best trade possible throughout the season. And so there's a few offers that came in along the way. Early on, there was an opportunity to talk with different teams. Indiana was one of them that everybody kind of heard about. No deal materialized at that time. And so we kind of gritted it out and gutted it out with our new head coach, Darvin Ham. And along the way, during the trade deadline, there's always activity with GMs. And so Rob is on the calls and touching bases and seeing what opportunities there are. And so during the trade deadline in February, he brought a couple concepts to our staff. There's 4, 5, 6 of us. We have an analytics team. We have cap management specialists. We have great basketball minds in the front office, and we just set out to make the best basketball decision. And so when we got together and we heard about this trade opportunity, we just felt like it was a no-brainer and that the cost wasn't too high for us to invest into the team right now in winning, because the priority of every season is going in to win a championship.
I mean, that trade changed everything. And I always liked the team defense, and I loved the series against the Warriors. But in that decision, you said 5 or 6 people. And is there anybody that's hesitant? And is it a vote, or is it just like, here's what we think? How does that work exactly?
Yeah, it's a discussion. And I think, on this one, I think that everybody kind of came to a positive consensus on it. But we talk about these things over the course of weeks and months. It's not just, hey, here's a deal, let's vote on it.
Right.
These things are very fluid. And so we thought about these players, Rui Hachimura being a different trade altogether than the Minnesota guys that you're mentioning.
Right.
And the priority really was to win now. And so sometimes you get lucky and you get another team willing to make a trade, and you kind of capitalize on that. And so I think we're very fortunate to get Rui. We're very fortunate to get the Minnesota trade done, and done at a price that we liked. We didn't want to have to give up too much future draft picks. One, because it hamstrings future flexibility.
Right.
And 2 is it makes your team worse in the following years. And so when we were able to get this done together and kind of analyze it from a cap perspective and analytics perspective and just kind of common sense, we kind of just all said, hey, is this too good to be true? And let's try and get it done. And we did. And Rob did.
I don't know if you can answer this. Was it tough getting rid of, was it tough to find a trade partner for Russell Westbrook? He has the huge contract. Was that difficult?
Yes and no. I think that early on, it's a difficult contract to trade, but what made it easier to trade as the season goes along is that it was a 1-year deal.
Right.
And so 1-year contracts tend to be easier to trade because there's not a lot of money committed to them over many years. And so teams don't want to hamstring themselves again. And so kind of halfway through the season, we got a lot of calls about taking on that contract. And the Minnesota-Utah deal was the best one that we liked. So,
Are you surprised at how well the trade turned out?
yes.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of immediate. They became really good immediately.
Yes, I think we were all very optimistic. We were trying to make a playoff push. We were really behind the eight ball there, really dug ourselves into a hole in that whole season. And then we kind of came out with a fire and a passion and an energy that I really haven't seen from a team after a trade before, at least with the Lakers. I think the closest comparison was when we got Pau Gasol, and that team rocketed up to the finals that same year. The difference was that Lakers team before Pau Gasol was already decently competitive that season. They had held the number one seed for some time. This Lakers team was not very competitive, but we felt that if we surrounded LeBron and AD with enough role players and talent, that they could take us and make a great playoff run. Yeah. But honestly, if I'm sitting here in February or December at the beginning of the season saying, hey, we're going to make it to the Western Conference Finals, I would not have expected that at all. So we're very happy, satisfied, fortunate for that. Yep. But at the same time, in sports, there can only be one winner. And the goal of every year is to win the championship. So next year we get to try again.
I remember the Pau Gasol trade. I don't know if you know this, Joey, but people across the country, they're not always Laker fans, because it's just like the Yankees are always good and the Lakers are been dominant for so long. And the Lakers didn't give up one of their top 7 players because Memphis didn't want Lamar Odom. Now they did get the draft pick to Marc Gasol, but that was good. That's how Kobe won a couple more championships. So let me tell you and ask you, my feelings, I've talked to you or texted you and told you I like D'Angelo Russell, but he's enigmatic. He's very streaky. He's kind of an odd guy, I think, but I'm glad Minnesota got rid of him, even though I like him, because I'm a basketball fan and I like rooting for certain guys. Kevin Love left and went to Cleveland. Andrew Wiggins, we got rid of him. He went to the Warriors. So I like D'Lo, but I'm glad he's not on the team because of some of his flaws, does not play great defense. Are you going to try to bring D'Lo back?
I think that with him being a pending free agent, there's a lot of things outside of our control, but we really had a great year this year.
Right.
And I think every time you don't win a championship, there's questions of, should you bring these players back? Should you not? What I've seen personally is that championship teams tend to have great continuity. Even the Pau Gasol trade that we just talked about, that team went to the finals and lost to Boston. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of questions around Pau at the time. Was he too soft? And so what we did was we tried again next year, brought the team back for a full training camp, a full year, built that continuity, and we ended up winning back-to-back championships with him kind of breaking through that reputation.
Right.
And so I really hope we have that same opportunity to do that again with the Lakers. Of course, there's some tweaks this year that we would love to make to improve the team, but I think the primary objective is going to be building off of this year and expanding that continuity into next year.
Is LeBron James coming back? That's the lead, but I believe he is. But do you have any concern that he'll retire? I just can't imagine it.
I think at some point he will. The question is when and at what time would he be comfortable with that? I really don't want to speculate or talk for him, but we share the same birth year. So we're the same age. And I can tell you that he's a much better professional athlete than I would ever be. My body aches just playing tennis once in a while, and the sacrifices he has to make for his body to kind of go out there and perform every night at a very high level is tough emotionally, mentally, physically. And so I think he's reached an inflection point, as Rob said in his press conference. And as the team, we just have to stand back and support him through that, and would love to see him back, obviously. I think he's still one of the best players on the planet. And
Yep.
I think he just does nothing but make our team better. We'll respect and give him time to kind of make that decision. But at some point here, he's going to have to retire.
Right.
And I think we're all going to, be really sad when that happens.
I think he said the other day, I'm still better than 90% of the guys in the NBA. And he said maybe 95%, which is true. I think the tough guy to bring back potentially is Austin Reeves. What do you think of your chances of re-signing him?
Well, I think Austin, there's different contracts, right? And so I can't really get into too many of the future speculations of what's going to happen into the offseason. But I can tell you, with Austin, he's a restricted free agent. Our team will have the ability to match any offer that he gets on the open market. And so what will typically happen is he either signs a different deal or not, and then we have to make a decision on whether or not to match that. And so that's a very protected contract for us. And I think with the priority of bringing continuity back, I like our chances. But like I said, we don't know, and it's hard to speculate what the market brings, and we can't make promises into the future of bringing people back when they're going into free agency. So we have to respect that. But we as a team, we're going to do everything we can to keep this team together.
I'm wondering how much of a fan you can be when you're working for the team and you're part of the team ownership, where I can be a fan of Austin Reeves. I get frustrated when he was a little cold on some of the shooting early on, and then he really finished strong on his 3-point shooting. Are you able to say, do you have a favorite Laker as a fan? Do you love Austin Reeves?
Yeah, I love all of our players. I think what makes Austin special for me personally is that he was an undrafted player.
Yep.
And so we recruited him after the draft to come to our development team. And he signed a 2-way contract with us because of the success that we've had with different players such as Alex Caruso, David Nwaba, Gary Payton II, having brought in talent to be able to develop them for the NBA level. And so when he came in with the thought of playing for our G League team, that was a really special kind of moment when we saw him get called up and expand into the player that he is today. So I can't say he's my favorite, but he's definitely a special player in my mind, because I feel very attached to that recruitment effort.
Yeah, I wanted to be positive and ask your favorite, as opposed to, you're not going to say who your least favorite is. But when I follow the Wolves, I'm supportive, but there's some guys on the bench that didn't have good years, and it's like we might have to replace them, because you got to keep them improving just to stay steady with the league. You can't just run it back completely. Trey Young rumors, anything going on there? You hear about the Lakers and Trey Young?
I hear everything in the media. Every star is going to be going to smoke and mirrors with the Lakers connection. But, like I said, I can't really even comment on that foolishness, rumors and things that people are trying to hit against the wall, because if I, try and confirm something that doesn't happen, then people are let down. And if not, then so no comment on that one. I don't even want to touch that.
And but there's also a thing where there's tampering. If somebody with the organization says the wrong thing, like, I like Trey Young's game, isn't that? Do you know what the rules are on tampering? I don't.
Right. Yeah. You can't talk about other players at all on other teams. You can't even talk about your own team's players, really, if they're heading into free agency. Oh. And so I think Magic got in trouble on one of the late night shows because of that, because he was commenting on the strengths of a player that was a free agent or not on the Lakers. And because he had a position with the Lakers, he got fined for that.
I want to, I won't get in trouble for this, but I want to make something crystal clear to you, because this would affect our friendship and our relationship. Anthony Edwards will never wear a Laker uniform. I just want to make sure you understand that.
Noted. Thank you.
No, I'm very pleased that we have him, and he's developing, and I think he's going to stay in Minnesota, is my understanding. But yeah, I like our Wolves. And so what did you think of that game? I was at the play-in game where the Wolves were playing well for 3 quarters, and then this is where I just think the Lakers defense is so good. The Wolves offense completely shut down, and I think a lot of it has to do with the Lakers defense. What did you think of that game, the play-in game?
Excitement, right? I think everybody was kind of questioning whether this play-in format would work or not.
Yeah.
And I think it works, right? I don't think teams like it all the time, because when you're kind of fighting for position, you don't want that extra game going into the playoffs because it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And I get that too. But from a fan perspective, it's compelling to watch, because like you said, it was not necessarily a do or die game, because both teams would have had an opportunity to play again to make the playoffs. But when you have a 1-game format where it matters, then you get a lot of exciting basketball. That fourth quarter was amazing.
It was painful. It was painful for me.
Not so painful for me.
How many years have you worked for the Lakers?
So I graduated USC in 2006.
Okay.
And I've been working with the team since then.
Okay.
So it's been quite a good time. I'm very fortunate to have worked for the team for that long, and I've really seen the ins and outs of almost all the places of the organization. Yeah,
I was going to ask you where that series against the Warriors, as far as satisfaction, where that ranks for you, because that was pretty special, because the Warriors are such a great team. I mean, how special was that series for you?
Yeah, it was a special series. You're right, because anytime you knock off the defending champions, I think that's meaningful to a team's NBA journey. And so for us to kind of be able to fight through that and accomplish that was very meaningful. And it was the first time the Warriors and the Lakers have played in this era in the playoffs. And so it was exciting for the state of California to kind of put these 2 great franchises against each other. And I'm just thankful the Lakers came out on top this time.
Yeah. Do you travel to the games, the road games, or are you working elsewhere?
Yeah, I traveled to that one. I used to travel much more. When I graduated college, I traveled with the team, worked under Phil Jackson's staff as just kind of an observer. And so I was able to attend coaches' meetings and go on the road, and it's exhausting. You know, these guys, they have to fly city to city, playing back-to-backs, 4 games, 5 nights. And the amount of travel that you put on through the course of the season is exhausting. So now I don't travel quite as much. I kind of pick and choose the games I'm able to go to. I've got a lot of responsibilities back in the office. So I've got, to work with Jeannie here and run the whole kind of G League operation. So I travel with that team as well. And they fly commercial, by the way. And so having to go through
who flies commercial?
The G League team flies commercially. And so, the Showtime Lakers and the teams back then had to do that as well. And so the travel can be exhausting. I went to the Warriors game 1, exciting game, great game.
Right.
So,
yeah, no, I'm not I don't like flying, and I feel bad for the team. I know they're young guys, but I'll check it out where they play a game in Denver and then they have to fly, to Sacramento, or they have to fly elsewhere. And I look to see, they're going to get in at 3 a.m. and it's like they got a back-to-back. And I just think it's so difficult. Do you think it's difficult? I know this is what the league likes, but like the series for the Lakers and LeBron is every other day. Is that hard?
Yeah.
I mean, does that bother you?
The travel, yeah. I mean, the travel every other day, it like I said, is exhausting. And so, but there's also, great team bonding moments and on the road, and we really try and prioritize, players' health. And so there's this whole new era of load management as well on the road. And instead of kind of flying out after a game, maybe you stay the night in a city and get extra sleep. And so, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, on the bright side, the accommodations that these players have are great. Well, the first time I was able to travel with the team back coming out of college, it was actually in college, in the middle of college. Shaq was still on the team. And I'm sitting there with my dad, and I'm just kind of geeked out to be on the Lakers plane. And I go to the restroom, and Shaq would sit in the back of the plane and near the restroom. And so he pulled a little bit of a prank on me. I went to the restroom and tried to come out, and it was locked. I unlocked, and it was jammed. Door was jammed. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And so 1, 2, 3, boom, I fly through the door. And Shaq there's kind of giggling with his foot out. He had put the bathroom door up. And so, moments like that, or, all the time, thinking through, different moments like that of, what makes, for a great team bonding moments, and what is also exhausting on these team planes. But yeah.
Shaq's hilarious. He's a prankster. So your dad was pretty special. I observed him, and he was a legendary owner. What did you learn from him, number one? And number two, I think I read that he had big plans for you. Does that sound right?
Yeah, well, thank you. The things that I learned from my father, yeah, gosh, everything, right? I think I still learning from him. Anytime I watch an interview, I can kind of try and glean something off of that. Or I remember something in a different context, something he told me, 10, 15 years ago. And now it has new meaning because I have two sons as well, 8 and 10 years old. But I'd say the thing that I draw most from my father is his positivity and kindness to people. And I'd say that was probably the number one thing I was taught from him is always be positive and always be kind. Yeah. And everything else will kind of work out. So
I definitely agree with the positive. I do. I love positive people. The kindness, there's some jerks out there. I ignore them. But the positivity is it's part of the life gorgeous, actually. So you didn't grow up in Los Angeles, young man. You grew up in San Diego. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. I grew up over in the Del Mar area in Rancho Santa Fe, a little bit inland. And the reason for that was because my mom, kind of wanted to get outside of the LA area. She wasn't really a city girl. Mm-hmm. And my dad, loved San Diego. He loved going to Del Mar, to the racetracks. And so he had, Jimmy was out there living down there at the time as well. And so, we just lived in San Diego, a little bit away from the limelight, a little bit away from LA.
Do you think you would have been a different person if you grew up in glitzy Showtime LA?
I don't think so, but I think the theory was that in San Diego, you can kind of not necessarily always be recognized, but the jig was up in high school. I mean, there was no hiding the run that the Lakers were making at that time. And so I don't think I would be a different person, but maybe the pressure would be a lot more in LA than it was in San Diego. I know that San Diego is definitely a more laid back city than LA. Right. And so I think I maybe absorbed a little bit of that.
I don't know if I told you this when we met, but when I first moved to LA in the late 80s, I said to myself, God, if I would have moved to Boston, I probably would dislike the Celtics. These fans are so obnoxious. You know, it's their God-given right to be in the finals. What am I going to wear in the first round? It was a social event, you know, the Lakers. But I was working at a restaurant in Santa Monica called Papa Louie's. It's now it's something else now. The Ale House, the Library Ale House, and it's next to the Tavern on Main. There was a bartender there. And I became friends, and he says, "Hey, I know Jimmy Buss. You want to go to a finals game?" So I got to go, and I was sitting with my friend and Jimmy, and we were at the Lakers Pistons. This is the Bad Boy Pistons with Isaiah Thomas at the Fabulous Forum, and Michael Cooper hit a 3-pointer in the first quarter, and the crowd exploded. I've never heard anything that loud. You know, with the finals, it's so intense. But I don't know how, were you there? I don't know what year you were born. Did you see the 80s Lakers or not?
No, I was born in 1984, so I wasn't able to capture those moments. My first basketball memory was of Magic Johnson actually making a return to basketball in the 90s.
Yeah.
And so playing with that team, and then also the Nick Van Exel, the Eddie Jones years, and then obviously going into the Shaq and Kobe years as well.
Right. Well, that was the three-peat with Shaq and Kobe was off the charts amazing, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there was a better duo in basketball, honestly. At the end of the day, both those guys were, 30-point plus per game averaging, and either one of them, they both actually led different teams individually to championships.
Yeah.
When the Shaq left the Lakers, he went to Miami and led that team. And Shaq obviously had, or Kobe actually had a Gasol here for his other two. And so those two guys, really special to see that, winning 3 championships in a row. I mean, how many times does that ever happen?
Right.
It just is very rare. So
do you, when you work for the team, how much of a fan can you be? Are you able, like I liked Arvydas Sabonis a lot. And then when Shaq, I rooted against Shaq with the Lakers, but I rooted for him with Dwayne Wade in Miami. I really liked Dwayne Wade. Are you able to do that? Or when you're with a team, you just can't really appreciate the other players and the other teams?
No, I think now that we've been knocked off, I can kind of enjoy what Denver's doing and what Miami's doing. Obviously, we'll see if Boston can come back in the Eastern Conference, but the finals are going to be exciting no matter which teams are in there. I always like to watch, and I like to watch the teams kind of have success and try and take that as just a pure fan experience. And so, yeah, I totally cheer and get, geeked out, and my kids get geeked out over different players and teams. But I think part of basketball is being a fan. And so I'm just kind of embracing that lifestyle for sure.
Is your life 24/7 Lakers? Do you think about it all the time, or are you kind of well-rounded?
I never get detached from the Lakers. And so, yes, it's like kind of constant 24/7, but it's not everything that I do. I mean, I am an investor in a restaurant in Hermosa Beach with a friend of mine who is a great cook, a great chef, Ray Hayashi. The restaurant's called Ryla. I love movies, anything, in the Marvel universe, Star Wars, DC, I'm big fans of all that. And I love wine. And so I just went and got back from Napa not too long ago on a trip, and just had an amazing time out there with my first time. I try to have other passions and other hobbies beyond basketball, but it's always kind of in the back of my head.
Doesn't show on your face, the red wine. That's good. I always encourage the young people to drink in moderation. Have you been to Yountville up there or not?
Yes, that's where we stayed actually.
Okay, so where'd you go to eat there? Did you Bouchon or?
We went all over the place to go eat. We went to the French Laundry. That was a very famous restaurant.
Right. Right. They have the garden right across the street where they have the fresh herbs and everything. How many courses is that? Like 7 or 8 or what was that?
It was like a 4-hour experience. It's a little bit much, but yeah,
Right.
like eight courses or so, and they each one is wonderfully crafted and artfully done. But at the end of the day, it's like 1 or 2 bites, and at the end of it, you're just like,
Yeah.
should I have a cheeseburger? Should I go
Right.
get something? But it was a wonderful experience, and yeah, it's a little bit of a foodie, so
Yeah.
really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Thomas Keller owns the French Laundry and he owns Bouchon up there. And there's, I think there's a few Bouchons around. There was one in Beverly Hills, but it closed. So, one more hoop question here. People ask me this, and I don't watch Winning Time. It does not interest me. I didn't like I don't know what Jerry West is like, but I didn't like the portrayal because I always liked Jerry West from afar. Do you watch Winning Time, and what are your thoughts?
I do watch it. I have watched it. I've tried to completely approach it from a non-basketball perspective. Like I can't watch it and be in the headspace of a basketball executive because I'll do the exact same thing that you're doing, which is I'll nitpick everything that's wrong. Oh, that's not
Right.
my father. That's not Jeannie. That's not Jerry West. And you can get really tense. But if you kind of let go and just approach it for what it is, which is just they're trying to have fun and
Right.
trying to tell a silly story about, the greatest basketball team, then it is more enjoyable if you let that go. And so I have watched it out of curiosity, and it's, like you said, you can nitpick everything that's wrong, but if you let go, they're just trying to have fun with it. And I respect that.
It helps your franchise. It promotes and advertises the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people come up with me and say, "Oh my gosh, Winning Time's great! It's so fantastic! It's so much fun!" And you just kind of sit there and nod, and it's bringing people joy, and that's fine.
Did I ever tell you? I don't know if I told you when I met you briefly because I like the history of stuff. So Jack Kent Cooke owned the Lakers, and he didn't like the word purple, so he called it Forum Blue. Have you heard that before?
Yes, the fabulous Forum. Yeah. The Forum Blue. And the reason why he picked those colors, if I'm not mistaken, is because he liked the royalty factor, right?
Okay.
Like that fabulous blue or the purple represented purple or power, and gold represented wealth. And so I believe that's why. And then I guess here's a question for you is, do you know what the backup name for the Lakers was going to be in Minnesota? Do you know
I'm gonna guess. No, I don't. It wasn't the Loons. I'm trying to think. In Minneapolis, you're saying the backup for the Lakers? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So it was a newspaper vote.
Oh, this is great trivia.
Great trivia.
I think. Are you able to give me a hint because I actually don't. I have no clue.
I can give you a hint. So it has something to do with cages out there at the YMCAs. It was a nickname for the basketball players back there.
Oh, the Cagers. They used to call, when they played basketball, they used to have nets around the courts, and so the ball wouldn't go loose or the players wouldn't run off the court because I think the courts were raised, and they called them Cagers. But I don't know. What is it?
Yeah, it's just Aqua Cagers. So if it wasn't the Lakers.
Oh, interesting. I never heard that.
Aqua Cagers.
That's a good one. Yeah. Aqua Cagers. I like that. I wonder if any of my friends in Minnesota know that. That's a good one. Quickly. Oh, let me just ask you, because I used to, I met Phil Jackson in the CBA when he was coaching the Albany Patroons, and you said you got to know him. He's a special guy, very bright guy, nice guy. What are your thoughts on Phil?
He's great. He's stoic. He's got a sharp wit, and he's not afraid to say anything.
Right.
He was great. He was great, kind of teaching me mostly about just the journey that a team has to make every year, right? And that it's not just the destination, but more importantly, it's the journey along the way, of kind of how you get to the destination that you should really enjoy. And, you know, it really did not resonate with me until later on in life, when you kind of see, you know, as a father, your son's kind of growing up, and it's like, oh wait, they're 8 and 10 now. That wasn't the point. The point is kind of living along the way. And so to relate that to basketball, to me, is just poetic and beautiful. So yeah, he's great.
I got to interview him, and I also hung out with him in the CBA. Okay, young man, it's time. Before we get to the Life Gorgeous quiz, we get your top 5 movies of all time. That was your homework. I'm sensing we're going to have some Marvel movies in there.
Yeah, so I could just do a top 5 list of all Marvel movies if I really wanted to, but I'm actually kind of going back here. A little bit nostalgia, I think, more so with this list. The first thing that popped in my head when you told me that was Back to the Future.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, that's a good one.
Michael
And
J.
I've had people say that. Now, did you see it when it came out, or did you see it later?
I saw it later on cable. So
Okay.
I saw the sequels in the theater, but the original I saw on TV. And so just love that movie. And the movies that I kind of came up with, what I realized after the fact was I liked movies that I would rewatch. And so that was kind of a barometer for me. So a lot of times when I go to a movie and I say, oh, that was great. Now I know the ending. Now I know how it goes. Am I really going to rewatch that? There's a million movies that I haven't seen, or I've haven't seen more than once. And so the other ones I could see again anytime. Not a Marvel movie, but The Dark Knight.
Okay.
With Christian Bale, Heath Ledger.
Yep.
Wonderful movie. Could see that so many times. Shutter Island with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, I didn't finish that one. Maybe I should. I didn't finish it. I was watching it.
I really like a mystery. And so that one really makes you question everything at the end. And so for me, I almost have to go rewatch it because it has new meaning the second time around.
Have you ever seen, have you ever seen The Departed with Leo?
Yes, I
have. Do you like that?
It's got too much, I think, Boston in it, but it was a great movie.
Right. Oh, because you're a Laker guy. You can't handle a Boston movie. So you couldn't handle The Town with
no, definitely not.
Ben Affleck. Okay.
No. I liked, I'm a big Mel Brooks fan.
Oh, so good for you.
Dracula, Dead and Loving It.
Okay.
I watch that every Halloween.
Oh, wow.
With Leslie Nielsen. And then also a classic Christmas movie to kind of round out the list, just Home Alone. Watch it every year with my kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, they love playing the different pranks and everything like that on me now that they're, you know, trying to be Kevin and I'll be the bad guys or whatever, breaking into the house, and they like to set the traps. So those are my top 5.
Those are good. I always tell people, I do it sometimes at dinner, and I say it's a lot of pressure on them. I say you can change it 5 minutes later, but those are good. That's good. I should finish Shutter Island. I never did. I'm a Leo fan. All right, young man, it's almost we're almost over. It's almost done here. It's called the Life Gorgeous Quiz. Simple questions, profound insights. This is one of my favorites I've been doing recently. 3 favorite sandwiches. Because I don't eat a lot of carbs, but when I do, I like my sandwiches.
3 favorite sandwiches. Gosh. Yes. Okay, number 1 is going to have to be a fried chicken sandwich.
Oh, that's healthy.
Yeah, no, not healthy at all.
Is it the place? By the way, Josh bought some from I don't know the name of the place. It's a really popular fast food place. They have a bunch of them around, and it's spicy.
Yeah, spicy chicken sandwich. There's one over by my house that just moved location. It was Pinky's Hot Box, I think, or chicken sandwich place. Yeah. And then, but yeah, Josh always finds the best ones. But that's got to be number 1 on the list. Number 2, I would say like just a Thanksgiving leftover sandwich.
Oh, creative. That's creative.
Yeah, I mean, I love Thanksgiving. I deep fry a turkey every year. It's kind of my tradition.
Right.
And so I like kind of creating the sandwich afterwards with the stuffing and the graving afterwards.
Cranberry sauce on the sandwich or not?
Of course. Yes,
Okay, good.
of course.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I would just say cheesesteak.
Okay. Cheesesteak is good. Yeah.
Classic cheesesteak. Caramelized onions.
Love caramelized
you got the
onions.
cheese whiz.
Yeah.
The first one I had actually was in Philadelphia when the Lakers went over to Philly in the finals. And it was great. Great experience.
Oh, you mean the Iverson team?
Yeah, the Iverson series. Yeah.
Because you weren't around for the Dr. J Lakers with Magic. So I'll give you my 3 just to see what your response is. A Reuben sandwich, either on pumpernickel or rye. I love sauerkraut. Do you like Reubens?
Love sauerkraut. Love Reuben. No mustard for me. No, but the Thousand Island dressing, yes.
Yeah, that's what Chicken salad sandwiches. I like them with cheddar cheese and red onions.
Yeah, curried. I like it curried.
Curried is fun. Sure. Yeah.
Curried chicken salad sandwich. So you add in some curry seasoning and I'm on board.
Tuna melt.
Nope. Can't do the tuna melt.
It's okay. It's okay. You got to be. It's not easy.
It's not. That's the one I can't do.
As Ryan Russillo says, after you have a tuna melt, you got to go home. You can't go back to the office after a tuna melt. That's good. Those are my 3. Okay, quickly. You mentioned red wine. Do you have a cocktail of choice that you like?
Old fashioned.
Okay. Very, very popular. I'm telling you, they're so popular. And I've never had one. I don't have a desire to have one. I don't like sugar. And they put sugar in there. I don't like sugar. A lot of young people like bourbon. I used to drink scotch in my 30s. Now I just drink vodka martinis and red wine. But old fashions are very popular. 2 more questions. I haven't picked up a basketball in 5 years. If we played 1-on-1 to 10-by-1s, if you and I, right now, I'm an old man. I got a bad back. If we played basketball to 10-by-1s, what would be the final score?
I think I'd beat you 10-1 because I'd be nice about it.
That was actually, I said 10-0. You couldn't guard me, and then I'd be nice. I'd be compassionate. I'd say 10-1. So did you ever play ball or not?
Just in high school. Right. I was more of a track and field guy.
Yeah? What was your event? I
was actually a sprinter.
Really?
Believe it or not. Yeah.
100 yard, 100 meter, 100 yards? What was it?
100. Yeah, 100. I was 11.3 seconds on the 100 in high school. So not terribly fast, but fast enough to be good in high school at a small school. So I really loved that one. And it was kind of funny because I went to La Jolla Country Day and the Heisman winner went to that school, Rashaan Salam.
Oh.
And that was kind of the big deal back then. And he had all the track and field records and the football records and everything. There was one record that we beat that year that he had held. It was the 4x1. It was a relay. So I just ran with 3 faster guys than he did.
Wow.
But that was a really fun kind of time. But that was, my sports career ended in high school, and that's fine. I think, these days I'm into tennis, a little bit of golf,
right?
Some ping pong.
Ping pong, yeah, that's physical. So I remember track and field. I wasn't particularly good. I tried to run the 440 and high jump. My brother had the high jump record at our high school for like 15 years. He high jumped 6'4", and then he high jumped 6'8" in college. He wasn't on the track team in college, just an intramural. But tell me about, this is what I didn't like, because I was really good in basketball, but the start, like you say, you run the sprint, the 100 meters, 100-yard dash. The start is nerve-wracking, no? To be in the block?
Yeah. You get in the blocks and you wait for the go mark, and if you go too early, you're done. So I always went too late. That was my biggest issue.
Right.
I never wanted to get disqualified. But.
Right. Okay, final question. Who's the greatest Laker of all time? I have my answer. Who's the greatest Laker of all time?
Greatest Laker of all time. It's got to be Kobe for me. Kobe Bean Bryant.
Okay. You're wrong, but a lot of young people say that. It's Magic Johnson. It's Showtime. He is the greatest point guard of all time. He is on the top 5 of all time. Kobe is either in the top 10 or he's 11th on some lists. But it is actually Magic Johnson, and I would say followed by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. My opinion, but I do understand the love for Kobe and his competitiveness. So
I think you're right. I think there is no wrong answer here, right? I think there's Magic Johnson, there's Kareem, there's so many great players. I think my father would agree with you. I think when he was asked that question, he would say Magic, and they said, okay, well, name your best starting five. And he says, okay, well, at point guard, I'd have Magic. And at shooting guard, I'd have Magic. And at small forward, I'd have Magic.
Right.
And power forward and center, I'd have Magic as well. And so you're not wrong. I totally respect that answer as well.
Yeah. You just reminded me of something. I just want you to hear this. When you said your dad said Magic, Magic, Magic. Years ago, the great commissioner David Stern, he got in trouble, and the Lakers are always in the finals, blah blah blah, and the reporter said, "It's good business, right? You want the Lakers in the finals, Commissioner Stern, don't you?" And he said, "I want the Lakers versus the Lakers in the finals." Is that funny?
I mean, it's a great all-time quote by David. But I think we're so lucky to have had sustained success, and whether it's the Lakers or I'm sure there's people out there that'll say the Michael Jordan Bulls versus the Michael Jordan Bulls would have been the greatest of all time.
Right.
But at the end of the day, as long as it's the Lakers winning, then I'm happy with whoever we're playing against.
Joey, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Really, really happy to be here.
Thanks.
Had a lot of fun.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. We'll see you next time. And remember, young people, I'm proud of you.